afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming to Basecamp. Quick question for you all. I'm going to take a little poll here. How many of you have attended one Denver Startup Week event? 2, 3. We're going for a record here. 4, 5. You got 6. We have a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. You win the honor of attending the most Startup Week events in this group. Thanks. Keep it rolling, you guys. Yesterday, we actually were trending nationally, which is a really important part of this whole week, is to tell the story of Denver. And we had 16 million impressions throughout the United States. So maybe we could go for a bigger number today. Start your twittering. Tweeting. Chloe's like, what did you just say? All right, well, welcome to Leadership Spotlight. I'm really pleased to welcome Stacy Sagesi here today. She's co-founder and development director of the Rocky Mountain MicroFinance Institute. And I think you're really going to enjoy learning a little bit more about who she is, why she's passionate about what she does, as well as about the Institute itself. So welcome, Stacy.
Thank you.
Great if you could kick us off by telling us your story. Tell us a little bit about your background and why you love what you do.
Absolutely. Well, it's a true pleasure and an honor to be here, not just for myself, but representing Rocky Mountain MicroFinance Institute. We are insanely passionate about the startup community, and I'm just happy to share. So I'm a Bostonian originally. Go Patriots, Red Sox, booze and sue, whatever, that's fine, I'm used to it. But I've been in Colorado for about 8 years, and my background, I have a degree in marketing, and after school I went to work for a large corporation in the Boston area, and really was working hard and feeling not so great about it. Couldn't really sink my teeth into what they believed in and what they were creating, and it wasn't really it wasn't enough for me. So I actually just kind of left the country, moved to Bangkok, of all places, taught English, and there sort of had a passion inside me rekindled that I had forgotten about, and that was really for small business. In Bangkok, there are communities and systems of small business owners that all rely on each other. The woman who has the wok lives next door to the woman with the refrigerator, and neither one would have one of the other because they just simply support each other through their business. And so when I came back to the United States and moved out to Colorado, I actually discovered this thing called microfinance and realized that through my own background, my great-grandfather started a business in the North End in the 30s that my grandfather took over that employed my entire family, that I grew up running around in a produce company on forklifts and stealing strawberries and being carried around by different people. And then my father was a math teacher during the year, but then started little small businesses in our town. So I'd always been connected to family and small business, and that's really what this work gets to the root of for me.
About kind of the ecosystem that you saw in Bangkok, because over the past couple days, we've been hearing a theme about how important it is for everyone in this community to support each other. And it sounds like you saw that, and you're bringing it to your work. And this is a great institute. How many of you are familiar with the organization? Just a few. So it's great that people will be exposed to all the great work that they're doing today. Can you tell us a little bit about how the group was founded and some of the core focus of the Institute?
Absolutely. So we were founded in 2008. I'm one of 4 co-founders. And we were really founded on this belief that we really believe that business can be transformational. It can be transformational not just for an individual, but for an entire community. And when we actually started out of the ashes of another organization, which isn't a story that we tell very much now because it's been 6 years later. But I think it's important in the context of this week because really our job and our work was pulled out from under us. And instead of quitting or walking away, and really saw this sort of failure as an opportunity to do something different. And so in 2008, August 2008, if anyone can remember, it's kind of an interesting time to start something that requires funding. You sort of have to, pull on your entrepreneurial pants and see if you can make something work. And I think what could have been sort of the detriment has ended up being the biggest blessing for our organization, in that, we have walked the walk that our clients walk every day. We serve low-income entrepreneurs who are trying to piece together a better life through business ownership. They have a big vision for how their life can be different, and they have a skill that they're looking to capitalize on. And they need resources, and they need support, they need ideas, they need mentorship, they need capital. And that's what we needed when we started. And so everything that we did to start the Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute, it's the same exact thing that our clients go through.
So yesterday when we had our town hall meeting right here in this room, some of the feedback was that we need to celebrate our glorious failures, and then we need to be open and create a culture in which we can share those. So I appreciate that you shared from where the new organization evolved. So thanks for that. You all have a really cool program, a boot camp program, and I'd really love to hear more about it.
Absolutely. So the recipe for business success is really the same for anybody in this room, anybody that you meet in Startup Week, anywhere around the world, really. You need access to the same type of resources. The folks that we're working with need them perhaps in different levels of ingredients. So what we've done is build a program that really, again, honors where people are today, honors the vision of where they want to go through their business, and then offers them the opportunity to slow grow their business idea that limits the risk to the individual, limits the risk to us as a lender and an organization, and sprinkles a whole bunch of community and accountability built into it. So if you think about our organization as providing services in a funnel, we start really with the idea. Come into a program, we see 350 people a year in a free class called Exploring Business Ownership. People kick around ideas. About half of those people move on to then what we call the business development program, where they start to refine their business idea, look at the feasibility and how it matches up with their life. The example we use here is, if you're a single mom who has a part-time job and you need that to survive, don't start a business right off the bat that requires 80 hours and 7 days a week of work. It will never happen for you. So what's the version of that business that you can start today, and how can we move that forward strategically? So once people have got that idea of really the thing they want to launch, we invite them to apply for the Business Launch Bootcamp. And this is a program that runs 3 times a year, competitive application process, and we accept 11 entrepreneurs at a time. So it runs from 12 weeks, so that means that you come in with an idea at week 1, and by 12, you have launched a business that is fully planned. You have capital up to $2,500 to get that thing off the ground. You have been moving through an entire process that has connected you with a team of 3 mentors that you meet with weekly. You have in-depth classroom time, and then we have pitch sessions to our community, almost like a little Shark Tank. And it's called a boot camp for a reason, because it is incredibly challenging. It really mirrors what life is going to be like as a business owner. So through that program, we've launched 82 businesses in the last 3 years through 10 graduating classes, and about 75% of those businesses are still in business today.
Story. That's really about actually delivering the tangible results. Can you talk a little bit about what some of those companies look like, what kind of criteria you look at in terms of whether or not they could fall into one of your programs, and maybe share a success story you've seen?
Absolutely. So the way that we figure out is who is eligible for our program is really right now based on income. 80% area median income or below, you're eligible to participate. From there, we're really looking for that alignment between your individual skills and your life situation and the business that you're looking to start. So again, single mom, retail business that requires, hundreds of thousands of dollars of startup capital, when maybe you're on public assistance and have a part-time job. That's just not in alignment. A good example of that is a woman that came into our program named Pat Lucero, who started 2T's Burritos. This is a woman who has been making burritos and green chili. Like, this is a family recipe, and it's amazing. Personal story, I can tell you. She came in saying, I'm going to start a food truck. I'm going to start a food truck. Of course, anyone would want to start a food truck once you walk around the city of Denver. But Pat was living with family. She was reliant on her husband's hourly job that really wasn't paying him very much. She didn't have the access to resources to get to a food truck. And so we said, maybe not now, but what can you do now? And through the program, realized that what she could do was sell burritos from her car, mobile burrito delivery from business to business to business. And she's been in business 2 years doing that. Still has the idea of growing and wanting to get to a new place, but something that makes more sense for her.
So, if you were in supporting her, what kind of financial support would a business like that receive?
So to start off in this idea to launch programming, we have a lending program that goes up to $2,500, which seems really small. And in the big scheme of things, it is small. But the idea is to take capital and understand how to utilize it in your business in a way that makes sense to you. Ultimately, we want these businesses to earn revenue and have the revenue from the business pay back the loan. They don't have outside income typically that they can pull from to pay off this loan. So it's about small bits of capital, 6 to 12 month terms, pay that thing back, come back, get another loan, and grow it bit by bit. And the most exciting thing right now, I think, for our organization is that, you know, when you launch 82 businesses into the community, you sort of pat yourself on the back, you're feeling good about things, but that's not really why we started the organization. We started the organization so people would have the chance to create self-sufficiency and live their best lives through business ownership. And you all know, once you launch a business, the work is really just beginning. So those 82 business owners have really been knocking on our door for months and months and months saying, well, what's next? I need more. I need more mentorship. I need more access to capital. I need more support. And so right now we are in the pilot phase of what we're calling the post-bootcamp program, which, by the way, naming competition, terrible name, but post-bootcamp program currently is being piloted, and we're looking to launch that fully in the beginning of 2015, where our lending capital will go up $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Ultimately, what we're doing is literally creating an on-ramp to other services and other lending partners in the community. We don't need to do the things that Exione and Colorado Enterprise Fund and some of our banking partners are doing. We just need to make sure that those folks who don't currently have access have a chance to get there.
So, boot camp, post boot camp, like officer training program. Bootstrap. See, we're already on a roll here. When you talk about them getting financing on the front end and potentially additional funds later, where is that investment actually coming from? I realize it's coming from you, but where is it coming from before it gets to you?
Absolutely. Yes, we do have our own loan pool. We are able to make all of our own loan decisions. And our capital right now comes from a diverse source of partners in the community. So we do have a few program-related investments, both from banks as well as foundations. We have some individual donors who have donated some funds at the very beginning of our organization. So it's really a mix of, we've had a partnership with the City and County of Denver to get things started. So we're looking towards in 2015 sort of more of those strategic relationships that bring not just the lending capital, because the lending capital is sexy and fun and everybody wants to talk about that because it's important, but lending capital without the ability to serve the folks that we're serving with in-depth business development is essentially setting them up for failure and putting them in a worse place. So our ideal relationships and the ones that have really worked the best are the ones that really recognize that, yes, lending capital, but also operating funds to make sure that we're serving folks the way that we need to. And then, of course, the other crucial element of our program is volunteers. You know, we have between 40 and 50 volunteers every business launch boot camp, made up of bankers, of business owners, of entrepreneurs of all kinds. So our greatest relationships exist right in the middle of those three resources.
So those volunteers / mentors, I imagine they fill a variety of different roles. They come from just the startup community in general?
They do.
Is anybody in this room?
Always looking.
Is anybody interested in helping support them?
Yes.
There you go.
Good
It'd be
answer.
great for you all to connect right after. So a startup's a startup. Whether you're starting 2T's burrito company or a tech company, many of the same core issues that you face to get launched, they're similar. What kind of advice would you have for people starting a company or moving into their first phase of growth?
Sure. I mean, I think it depends on the company, and I will really speak to sort of the biggest challenge and the biggest hurdle that our entrepreneurs face is that really recognizing that they are entrepreneurs. typically businesses start because somebody is passionate about the thing that they know how to do or that they know how to deliver. And that's a lot of times a wonderful place to start. But we have to remember that as entrepreneurs, we have to take off that hat of the technician, and we have to put on the hat of manager, and we have to think about those processes and systems that are going to allow for our business to grow. And then we also have to put on the hat of the entrepreneur. You got to go hustle. You got to go hit the street. You got to go talk to people about what you're doing and ultimately where you want to go. So I think understanding that there has to be a balance between those three personalities in some cases to really help the business take off.
So you've seen some successes. And in the examples where you've seen people not actually launch, what were some of the fail points?
I think misalignment, again, of what is available to that person, and sort of overreaching with that big dream and not being willing to sort of scale back in the beginning to really dig your teeth into what you can dig into. And again, holding that vision out there. I also think there's how do I say this in a nice way?
We actually don't require
Okay, great.
saying
Is there
anything
swearing
in a nice way
allowed? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it seems to be rampant after yesterday's breakfast.
You're right.
Truck was a really big word.
Yes, great. I won't go there just yet. But, I think people underestimate the hustle, quite honestly. Sometimes it's an unteachable skill. And if you're not willing to get out, to get uncomfortable, if you have an expectation that something's going to happen simply because it's a great idea, that's going to get you in trouble. We also have a rule that we talk about in our organization called the "because your mama said so" rule. And it typically refers to somebody who wants to start a business because their mama said that it's the best idea or the best cookie or the best burrito or the best gardening or whatever. And that's not necessarily. Your mama hopefully loves you, and that's where that's coming from. But just because your mama said so doesn't mean you should go start a business. So, really rooted in some market research, some understanding of the potential before just charging forward.
So as you look forward in the next 5 years, what do you see happening with the organization? Where would you like to grow? What's your vision?
Oh, gosh. We have... I'm lucky to be in this position right now because we've just gone through a strategic planning process with our community, our board, and we've got what we've called right now a strategic plan we've dubbed Dig Deep in Denver. So when we started this organization, we named ourselves the Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute because we have an idea of bringing business ownership to many communities up and down the Rocky Mountain region, and certainly our rural communities need some help in developing local business ecosystems that support the community. But we don't really believe in planting a tree in another yard before we've really figured out how it grows in our own backyard. So what we're doing right now is taking responsibility for those 82 businesses that have launched and going deeper and further with them to make sure that they have everything that they need to make this business a success. So more in-depth mentorship and access to capital through the post-boot camp program. Access to markets. Number one issue when our clients launch is access to a consistent customer base. So how can this organization leverage our position in the community, create strategic partnerships with Downtown Denver Partnership or other folks to get the word out there about these businesses so that when you as consumers are choosing to spend your money, you're choosing to support somebody local here who's changing their lives through business ownership. And then really looking at, and this is an interesting new spot, we're not sure how it's going to totally go, but how do we start to look at some of those really disadvantaged communities in Colorado that have been perhaps disadvantaged for generations and bring business ownership in a place-based strategy that can start to revitalize some of these areas by bringing business ownership, businesses that are owned by community members so everyone can engage. So we've got a few ideas of how we really want to just keep digging in and allowing for business to be, the power that it really can be.
In terms of looking at the marketplace and what you do, reaching this particular segment that would be interested in launching a company of our community, what other organizations are out there that do similar work to yours, and what do they do differently? What kind of value do they bring differently than what you are offering?
Yeah, certainly. Wow, there are a lot. I mean, there's so many opportunities to plug in this community. It's really incredible. I mean, everything from your small business development center offering classes and access to, counselors and working one-on-one. Certainly innovative spaces like Galvanize and all sorts of different, incubator type organizations. I think it's important to spend the time to look for the right community for you. People who aren't going to be your mama said, your mama said so. People are going to challenge you. People who are willing to offer you resources. But there's, so many. Just ask anybody at Something Independent. They'll tell you all about it.
Great. We want to take a little time now to ask everyone here, do you have let's start off with this. Do you have any thoughts or ideas about groups, organizations, or individuals that could provide some support and partnership to the Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute?
We have connected with organizations that are doing some of that. For example, Youth Biz is an organization that supports high school age kids in entrepreneurship. And certainly we want, we love that relationship. Given that we are a lender, we really can only start working with people when they're from 18 and up. So it hasn't made real strategic sense for us yet to go into high schools, but I do believe that there is a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurship to be a pathway for some folks directly out of high school, and we will certainly be a part of that conversation when it makes sense.
Absolutely.
I'm on the board of Colorado Uplift, and we help 4,400 kids in the inner city. Oh, excuse me. I'm on the board of Colorado Uplift, and we help 4,400 kids in the inner city public school system in Denver. So I would imagine perhaps connecting somehow with the Colorado Uplift could be a way to get not only exposed to the schools, but also to some sponsors and board members and things like that.
Absolutely, I would love that, and it's an interesting partnership a partnership to explore too. In that, when we're working with Youth Biz, we go to sort of their orientation nights and we share what we're doing, and we hope that it inspires some of the students who are maybe thinking about business ownership beyond high school, but it's also a great connection to the parents for us as well. And when you can start to think about a kid being involved in an entrepreneurship program and small business program, and a parent thinking about things that way at the same time, we have a theory that perhaps some things will move a little bit quicker. So yes, I would love the opportunity to chat with you. Thank you.
Good. Any other thoughts or ideas in terms of reaching out to the community? I know we've got a couple volunteers that are interested in working with you. Just broadly, do you all have any additional questions about some of the companies?
I just had a quick question if microfinance is regulated, or if you guys are under a certain lending amount that it is or isn't regulated.
Short answer, no. No, and that's sort of the dirty little secret of the microfinance world, is that, microfinance across the globe really it can show up differently all the time. There are some microfinance organizations that are straight lenders. There are some that are straight business development organizations. We've chosen the path that we've chosen because the loan, again, is the sexy thing, but without the business development behind it, it's a detrimental thing, potentially. So, yes, we get to make our own decisions. It's fun, Ford.
Follow-up on that is, what's your return rate? Are most people paying back their loans?
Yes, excellent question. Thank you. The beautiful thing about the Business Launch Bootcamp is that we have really created this community of entrepreneurs who feel in their heart of hearts that they are part of a family and a part of a community. Our repayment rate as a result in the bootcamp is 100%, which is a little bit unheard of, and quite honestly, we do in some cases, restructure some of those loans, but that's totally fine. We ask our clients to pick up the phone and call us and tell us, hey, my loan payment this month, I think I'm going to be a little shy because my operations didn't go quite as well, my sales weren't quite as high. Wow, you just called us and told us you weren't able to make a loan payment. Come on in here. Let's talk about what you can do. If it was $100, can you do 50? Can you do 20? So that we're still maintaining that professional, real life, yes, I do owe this money back. But now we can pair you with a mentor. Now we can take a look at your business. It's not about the repayment at the end of the day. It's about the business success. So it's just a tool, again, for that level of engagement. But yes, everybody's paying off their loans.
I just wondering, what sort of partners and volunteers do you guys find most valuable?
So, in the Business Launch Bootcamp, and certainly in this next program, that's the post bootcamp program, we look for people that are way smarter than we are. There's 6 of us on staff, and there's no way that we could serve the people that we could. So we look for people that have expertise. General mentors are typically folks who have run businesses or worked for a small business. We need accountants. There's Libby from Beyond Bookkeeping back here who has been volunteering and working with us. We have lawyers, we have marketing professionals, we have CPAs, we have, I mean, literally, if a business needs it, our entrepreneurs need access to it. And, even folks who think of themselves as, really great strategic thinkers or business planners or whatever that looks like. And then also we have a position in our program that's called an accountability coach. And this has really become sort of the secret sauce in our program. So how do you set goals? How do you follow up? How do you hold yourself accountable? And sometimes that doesn't always require business background, but somebody who's willing to really sort of dig in on the personal side of things.
Your daddy said so?
Yeah, exactly. Don't listen to mama, listen to no. I think that, and this will probably make sense across the board, somebody who has identified a specific need and a specific solution to that need that is rooted in something that they're great at. Back in the day, I heard from a guy who came and said that he was going to start a company that made robots that rolled over landmines and destroyed them. And clearly my jaw dropped to the ground. I was like, this is brilliant. Of course. Where did you learn to make robots? And he was like, I don't know how to make robots. I was like, well, how do you know about landmines? He's like, well, I saw this documentary last night. And I was like, okay, this is not where we're starting here. So identifiable need, identifiable connection to what, not only what you know how to do, but what you truly believe in. If I might share another success story, there's a gentleman named Joshua Abeda who started a business called I Can Jam Studios. And he started it in December 2012, launched from our bootcamp class number 5. And Joshua is, he's in his, I think, early 30s now, but he was a young father, got a job washing dishes just to try to make ends meet. Didn't really take school that seriously. You've heard the story a bunch of times over and over. Spent a little time in prison, made some mistakes as young men are wont to do in this world, and found himself stuck. Really stuck, truly. Couldn't find a job that paid the bills, that satisfied the life that he really wanted to live. But what he realized and recognized is that he had this love and passion for music, and he is a self-taught musician. And so he said, well, why don't I just start a music business? Why don't I just teach other people how to start businesses? So he came through our boot camp and was absolutely a shining star, was a complete sponge for everything, took every opportunity so seriously, launched this business in 2012. Fast forward to today, Joshua is making more money than he's ever made in his life. He employs 2 full-time employees and several part-time teachers. He has several contracts with schools throughout the community. DSST is one where he teaches music lessons in the school. And most recently, he has secured his 2nd-year contract with a program called TASK, which provides special resources for kids who are on probation. And he's been contracted to teach music to youth offenders to try and get them to move their life forward. So here's this full circle story of what happens. How does Joshua's life change? How does he create value in both a financial way but also in a social way? This is the kind of power that we see that is unlocked constantly by just providing a really meaningful opportunity to start a business.
Your story absolutely reiterates the point that being able to start a company and become self-sustainable is a pathway to freedom. And with somebody who's gone through some of those challenges, their ability to actually get a job in a company is very limited. So, the beauty is, I think you'll all agree, our nation was pretty much founded on capitalism, private sector, and it's really great to see the power of that in action with even just one individual.
Absolutely. And just it's an interesting invitation to sit in a Startup Week panel as a nonprofit organization, but I appreciate that because we are a nonprofit business, and I think Ford would and other nonprofit organizations would agree that we have an obligation as a business to provide value to the community, to use the funds and the resources that we're given to create real impact and real change. We are bringing value to the community that is worth the investment. So in that way, it makes complete sense that we're on Startup Week panel.
Well, we're going to wrap up. I want to, before we close out, if you have one last piece of advice, inspiration, anything you'd like to share with the group here before we send you off on your way. And fabulous. It was great to learn so much about what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I think the principle that we really believe in, again, around business ownership can be this opportunity to transform lives and community, and that's really all about people. Opportunities come through people. Just looking at somebody and saying, here's where you are or where you've been, doesn't necessarily mean that you know what they are capable of doing going forward. And an investment in somebody to not just receive something and go away, but to receive something that allows them to build and bring their own talents to the community is just about one of the most magical things that you can be a part of. And with the Rocky Mount Microfinance Institute, any commitment or investment that you make to this organization, you see happening and coming to being fruitful in your own backyard. You can go take a music lesson. You can go buy a burrito. And so now you're continue to be a part of that ecosystem. So I invite you all into our community, however you'd like to participate. And again, thank you so much. And cheers to all your future success. It's going to be awesome.
Just amazing. Thank you. Oh, yes, please do.
Everyone, I've been to one of their boot camp launches where they introduce all their entrepreneurs. I challenge everyone to go to one. They're awesome.
Stacy, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
A special thanks for all of you being here. Denver Startup Week. Basecamp launched by Chase. It's awesome that we have amazing leaders like you in our community.